Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the 4G Gaming. Happy Halloween. I'm Troy, and I'm here with Judah.
How's it going?
Judah Blade, and well, it's Halloween.
It is.
It's Halloween. We're recording this on Halloween Day, anyways.
Yeah, it'll come out November 1st.
Yeah. The Astros just lost.
Going to Game 7.
Going to Game 7. We're gonna recover from that, but
Yep.
This is 1v1. So also stay tuned. For at the end of the video, we're gonna announce who our winner of
The last episode. Yep. Yeah, we got a winner that we will be discussing towards the end, so stick around through the entire episode and you'll be able to not only find out who won, but how you could potentially win this week.
You could potentially win.
You could potentially win.
You could potentially win.
1v1.
That was corny as hell. All right, Judy, you gonna give us our subject for today?
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah, so Troy, as you know, again, we kind of go back and forth on topics, and something that I've been thinking about this week, because we both tend to procrastinate the whole week on finding a topic until like the day of. So I've been trying to think of one, and what I want to talk about today is realism in video games. And it's no secret that every video game, it doesn't necessarily have to be realistic or cheesy in order to be good. There's good games on both sides of it. But whenever you look at a particular genre, what is typically your go-to, Like if you're going to play a sports game, there's obviously more realistic sports games, and then there's more crazy ones. Like what is it, NBA Jam?
Yeah.
Is the, it's good. It's nothing like playing 2K. Or, we talked about, as you can see in the background beside us over there and down there, games like Overwatch versus Battlefield. There's obviously very realistic versus, just outlandish. You've got games like Sunset Overdrive, and, you could even compare games like Destiny and The Division, So in every genre, there tends to be the one that's shooting for most realistic, and then there's the ones that are just, going off the rails and just doing whatever they want and just making it fun. So, Troy, I want to get your opinion on which one you tend to lean towards. I know you're a fan of, like Doom and Overwatch and Halo and stuff like that, so I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, dude, I mean, for the most part, dude, I play video games to get away from reality in general, and so anything that is not realistic sounds like a crap load of fun to me, and I mean, I still enjoy the realistic games to an extent, but dude, there's nothing like just fantasy, straight fantasy, the imagination going above and beyond what is real, and that's the reason why I like games like Overwatch. That's the reason why I like, I liked, even though they don't make it anymore, NFL Blitz, which was an amazing game for its time, and yeah, I mean, NFL Blitz and Madden are like comparing apples and oranges.
Backyard football, or not, NFL Street.
NFL Street was fun. Oh, freaking, bam.
Oh, yeah.
NBA Street, PlayStation 2. That game was super fun, man, dude, and I mean, for the most part, like, I would prefer, Skyrim, unrealistic, fighting dragons and all that kind of stuff over like a PUBG or something like that, or some of the aspects of that which is a little bit more realistic.
And a good thing to note here is that, Troy, you are a very big sci-fi / comic book fan, so that I feel like that's probably where some of that stems from, is because a lot of times, like, I know I'm going to talk about my opinion whenever it comes to me, but like it tends to fall in the same category with like movies and stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and carry on.
Yeah. And not to get too much into the movies, but I'd much rather watch one of the Avengers movies over like freaking some war movie or something like that. I like war movies, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
All props to our veterans and all that kind of stuff, but
nice save, yeah.
I know. But dude, I love comic book stuff. I love unrealistic things, and I'm trying to get away from reality whenever I play video games.
Sure.
And so, do I enjoy realistic games? Yeah, to an extent. I'm not a big Battlefield fan, which is probably one of the most realistic shooters ever. whenever it comes to shooters. You know, one shot, one shot, one shot.
One shot. He just pronounced it weird.
I pronounced it weird. Go ahead, man, before I freaking cuss again. Can't hold my tongue.
Okay, so I can definitely, err on both sides of this. I do typically find myself falling into more of the realistic category. Of course, I love sci-fi stuff, movies and games. I play Destiny every week. I love Star Wars. I love all the Marvel and DC movies. But if I had to pick, I think I do typically go towards the realistic games. I loved the Tony Hawk games, for instance, but I always prefer the Skate 2 and 3 games because as a person who skateboarded in real life for the better half of my life, I appreciate realism in those sort of scenarios, and I think it just kind of depends on what kind of game you're playing. I never was a big I never played much of Doom or much of Overwatch, but games like Call of Duty, for instance, which, I'm not trying to argue that Call of Duty is super realistic, but in the grand scheme of things, going against like Halo and stuff like that,
it's halfway realistic.
Yeah, I mean,
that's Call of Duty stuff.
Modern Warfare ones are a little bit realistic.
Call of Duty's it's one of those halfway realistic, halfway unrealistic
games.
It's
getting less and less realistic.
Yeah, it's not quite over there, and it's not quite on the other side.
Yeah.
Even when you look at like the fact that guys are virtually bullet sponges.
Yeah.
I.e. the Division or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean you can shoot somebody in the sniper, with the sniper in the foot twice and it kills them.
Yeah.
Or, stuff like that. But
I would probably want to die if I got shot twice in the foot with a sniper.
But you could always go play hardcore.
Could always play hardcore. I actually prefer hardcore.
Yeah, but same with kind of like with movies. Like I said, I love sci-fi, but I've always loved war movies. I've always loved sports movies, and like whenever I know that something is a true story and I get to watch it and witness it, it's always, I've always favored that kind of stuff. So it kind of plays into the games I play as well. And whenever I look back at, the games that I do spend a whole lot of time on, like Skate 3, I've probably played more Skate 3 than anything else on Xbox 360 or Xbox One. And it's because I can appreciate how realistic it is. But of course I'm a Halo fan and stuff like that, but if I had to choose, I think I would go with realistic. And there's even some instances where I play games and they're not entirely meant to be realistic, but sometimes I wish they were a little bit more realistic, just because it doesn't feel quite right or whatever. But again, I can kind of appreciate both sides of it.
Yeah, I think for most people, if you have experience, like real life experience in the game, then you're going to want, whenever you're playing the game, you're going to want it to be realistic.
Right.
Like I have experience playing football. Like I know plays, I know reads and defenses and all the positions and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like I want something tactical with my football game because, I know how to break down a defense as a quarterback,
right.
Or I know how to read an offense or how to read a defense to know what I can tell what defense they're in if you put them on the field, and so as opposed to like something like NFL Blitz or NFL Street, where if a person doesn't really have that much knowledge of football or isn't really a hardcore football fan, I can't pronounce anything right today.
You're all over the place.
They're not going to want anything realistic. They're going to want something fantasy like, something that they can be good at.
Yeah.
You're going to want to play the NFL Streets where you can just run and just freaking jump up and just throw the football 40 yards, or NFL Blitz. Same with you with skate. You have experience as a skater. And so you prefer something a little bit more realistic because that's what you're used to, as opposed to Tony Hawk, which I'm more of a Tony Hawk fan.
Yeah.
Because I've skated in the past, but I was never really any good at it, and I could do like 2 tricks, and that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
And so for me to just kill it up in Tony Hawk or freaking Underground, I can freaking skate on power lines and crap like that.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I think it definitely does come down to background and stuff. I mean, I'm sure, even like with people in the military, like whenever they watch, I know this for a fact. If someone was in the military at one point and they watch a war movie that's based off a true story, they want that to be as on point and realistic as possible. You know, so I think that we're in a good spot right now with games being on both spectrums of this, because we have games that, you know, it kind of depends on the serious factor. I mean, you look at a game like Rainbow Six Siege. You know, that's not meant to be outlandish, but it's still really fun because it's a very engaging activity to be able to take part in.
Yeah.
So, you know, it kind of just depends on what you're aiming for. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a lot more unrealistic games out there than realistic.
I mean, video games in a sense. I mean,
Well, yeah, I know. But
even Madden, which is pretty realistic, you know, as far as sports games are concerned, isn't as realistic as it could possibly be. You know, like it's.
Well, I'm saying, are there more games trying to be realistic or more games trying to be, you know, outlandish? And I understand what you're saying, escaping reality and stuff.
I think like more games are trying to be realistic to the world that they're in. You know, like if you take a game like Overwatch, where there are certain players that just break the laws of physics, you know, in their games, and they kind of, you know, they kind of have powers to where like this person can do that, but this person can't, you know, and it works like that for everybody, and that's not how it is in real life. As opposed to like Titanfall, where Titanfall is a sci-fi shooter, but it does have realistic elements. Right. You know, like your player runs, he has a little jetpack, he can jump, he can wall run.
Yeah, they make a good point to explain the things.
Yeah, they explain their rules and be like, these are the rules.
And that's the thing, is that we have so many, you know, futuristic games now that we can't even really define what is realistic and what's not, because they just use the whole, well, it's the future and technology has expanded.
I mean, would you call GTA realistic? It's tough. It's a tough play.
That is a tough one.
It's tough because I mean, there's some aspects of the game that it's missing.
Yeah, I don't think it tries to be super realistic. I think it tries to make the world realistic, like as far as, you know, weather and traffic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if I go shoot someone and then I go hide behind a tree for 45 seconds and the cops just forget about me, yeah, that's a little unrealistic.
Yeah.
But you know,
Watch Dogs. In comparison to,
I think Watch Dogs is more realistic.
Yeah, Watch Dogs is more realistic.
You got people calling
than
cops whenever you
do something wrong. The cops remember you. You show up on the news all the time if you do something bad. You know, people see you. Yeah. Like it's like Watch Dogs is a more realistic type of GTA, which is probably the reason why it hasn't really caught on
I agree.
as well as GTA did, because it is more realistic. And like my argument is, people want fantasy. So
yeah, and
you know, like
I'd like to think that as these consoles continue to progress, that it would allow more games to become more realistic. Because, I mean, granted, you look back whenever, you know, the Nintendo 64 was big, or even the PS2, there really wasn't any way for them to create a realistic game.
Yeah.
You know, they were limited to, so because you're limited, it's just like with cartoons. You know, if your thing is making something that's animated, well then it's kind of hard to go and make it super realistic because it's not realistic in the first place. So the technology was kind of limiting it. So I'm hoping that, you know, going forward, we'll be able to see some games that are just really hitting stuff head on, and, you know, kind of broadening the realistic games out there, and the ones that are already realistic, making them even more so realistic. So that's about where I'm at on it. So
yeah. I just think that it depends on your experience.
Yeah.
You know, like with you with Rock Band, like you don't really play guitar.
No.
You know, and so you can enjoy playing a Rock Band or a Guitar Hero or whatever, something like that, you know, and it's fun. As opposed to me, I actually play guitar, and it's just if I'm gonna work, I'll play Rock Band or I'll play Guitar Hero or whatever, but I'm not gonna wear myself out trying to figure out how to beat a certain level or how to beat a certain song on the hardest setting. Because if I'm gonna spend that kind of time, I need to do that in real life with music, and so
I'm looking down at how much I'm contradicting myself right now looking at my games collection. I got freaking Halo 5, Titanfall, Infinite Warfare, BioShock, The Division. I got Battlefield 4. Dead Rising 3 is not in the slightest bit realistic. I
have Fallout 4, which can... I mean, Fallout 4, it's totally fake, but it has a bunch of realistic elements, like you need to sleep, you need to eat, you need water, you can dehydrate, it throws those realistic elements in the game.
Yeah.
To where if you don't sleep, if you play on the hardest setting, if you don't sleep, you'll just pass out.
And that's another one of those games where they create a setting to where they can allow it to be realistic. You know, it's like a sci-fi game, like where they go to another planet, isn't necessarily unrealistic because they can just say, well, we're on a different planet, so they just have that.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to something like Saints Row, where everybody's just freaking superheroes. You know,
flying around and crap.
Yeah. So Troy, you got anything else on this?
Oh, that's all I got, man.
All right. Well, congratulations to our very first winner, DJ Davis. DJ, you have been a very supportive subscriber on the channel for a good while. I know you've joined on some live streams, and I appreciate you voicing your opinion on this video, last week's video. And, you know, you did side with Troy, which I'll have to learn to forgive you on, which means I have to hand Troy his very first win of the 1v1 series.
Very first win? What the heck are you talking about?
Win. What episode is this, 13?
I don't keep count anymore.
So I've got 12, you've got 1.
Whatever.
So DJ,
technically you have 0 and I have 1 because it's our first winner. So it's all about the fans. You know what? I'm gonna put a poll on the video. All right. I want everybody to vote. Like in the freaking up there. I can't point at it. It's gonna be right there where the Forge Gaming thing is. There will be a poll there. You click on that and you vote. Who do you think won the 1v1?
So you're going to do that every
Judah
week?
Or Troy. I'll do it every week.
Okay.
I'll throw it on there.
Okay, just don't forget to comment. But, you know, DJ. Making me not able to pronounce anything.
DJ. Butcher your name, DJ. Don't even freaking talk to this guy
DJ, if you go to the About section on our channel, you will be able to find our email. But if you're not able to find it, it is forgegaming2016@gmail.com. If you send us an email on there, we will get you some shipping information. We will get you your package on your way, absolutely free. And for anybody else watching this, you have the opportunity to win the same thing every single week whenever we do this. Simply go down in the comment section below. Tell us what you think about the topic of, you know, whatever we just talked about. You know, do you agree with one or the other, and explain why. And we're going to pick our favorite comment, and you'll have another chance at winning. So,
free 99.
Free 99. So, once again, guys, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for the next episode. Subscribe for a whole lot more. Like if you enjoyed, and we will see you guys online.
Christmas is almost here, guys.
I'm only eating candy because it's Halloween. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. But I'm drinking water to make up for it.
I don't try to make up for it. I just live my life the way it is.
It shows.
Do
the do.